Hey everybody, just driving home from work. Gonna go home and listen to some records. Got a great update ahead of you. Did some awesome record shopping today. And, oh my god. Holy! And that is how you start off the new vinyl finds for 2012. Hello, and welcome all the new subscribers. Thank you for stopping and taking a moment to watch my video. Without you, I wouldn't be doing this, so just a reminder. Anyhow, I got some great records. I got a big stack of records. Most of these are from kind of the middle of December, so we're almost in a month, but I haven't really done a real update, I would say. I did do, before the, on Christmas Eve, I did do a video, so I guess it's not that outdated, maybe 3 weeks. But I got some stuff in the mail. I just wanted to give some shout-outs to a couple of people. Two guys just kind of showed up at the end of the year, beginning of the new year, and already making their mark. Memphis Vinyl Jim, big shout out to Jim. Just some amazing records, definitely ground that has not been kind of walked through on the vinyl community thus far. Definitely showing some amazing records, and I saw you had Little Boy Blues up on the wall, so I got you, Jim. And also Zeke. The Zeke Geek 1. Not sure if there's more than one out there, but again, building up his collection, $3, no more than $3 on the record, so if I could practice that kind of restraint, that would be pretty amazing, but nonetheless. So I got a couple packages right before the new year, and just kind of taking the VC to the next level. I think I'll probably get into Discogs a little bit more. Definitely check the website out. If you don't have a username, create one. Put your want lists on there. A lot of the dudes and dudettes on here are sort of making lists, and I think that's really helping out because the actual list, when we write down a list and we give it out, it's outdated pretty much the moment that it's sent out. Whereas Discogs is if you're updating your Discogs, it's in real time, basically. I think I'll make another video kind of talk about it a little bit further. So there's a few things with like apps on the iPhone, etc. We'll talk about it later. Let's talk about vinyl. So this was actually put on my radar by Teddy, but LJ picked it up for me. LJ, your record should be there sometime the middle of this week, so keep your eye on the mailbox. But this is Kinks, Muswell Hillbillies. This is, I believe, their first album that they did with RCA, kind of after their deal with Reprise kind of lapsed. But really, I've heard 20th Century Man on this, and that was about it. But it's really a looking forward, I think, into the Kinks, their later catalog. So it's sort of I know it's a good album. Thank you, Teddy, for kind of turning me on to this. But it's one of those ones where you kind of, it's not so much looking back to All Day and All the Night and You Really Got Me. It's sort of towards the more lyrical, I guess you could say, version of the Kinks. So really, really great stuff. Again, speaking of Teddy, Teddy and I have been trading back and forth. We really, I think we've both kind of come across pretty good things that are, me personally, I've been kind of finding some, through his help, obviously, because it's something kind of outside of my expertise, but finding some really good records, and, it's, you find something, you get a little bit of a stack going, and you send a box out. I just sent a box to him, and as I was putting the tape on it, I realized that it would be the second time I was sending the exact same box to him, so, it's been through the mail, and it's just amazing to kind of think about how where things are really going. So thank you, Teddy. A couple that he got me. The Candymen. This is from 1969. Candymen equal candy power. Not really too sure what exactly that means, but you got to have a slogan. Sort of really pedestrian, psychedelic bubblegum. I eat this up with a spoon. So. Just really love this kind of stuff. There's a T-Bone Walker song, Stormy Monday Blues, so some interesting things from them. This is on the ABC label. And here's another one. This is this kind of went back and forth trying to figure out whether or not this was a repress or not. We have come to the conclusion that it is a repress, but it's the Critters. I believe this is their second or third album. I'm not sure. It's on Project 3, which was the same label that the Free Design was on, Enoch Light's Project 3 label. But this has a great version of Reason to Believe, the Tim Hardin song. Just really cool. Again, you know, sunshine pop, psychedelic, late 60s kind of stuff. And Teddy and I, you know, if you watch his videos, you know, he talked about the obsessions of 2011 and Big Star Thread. And he talked about this album. And I think we probably went back and forth, probably talking about this record since he bought it, since he found a good copy of it. And somehow I weaseled my way into getting his his bad copy. But I have this on iTunes, and I mean, if you would look at the amount of times that I've listened to this album since we've been talking about it, it's just fantastic. Just really stripped down, totally lost classic. It doesn't sound like the Rumble Link Ray. It's more kind of like hard blues, even like real hard rockin' kind of stuff. Not Fuzzbox, not Vanilla Fudge kind of territory, but just fantastic, just amazing stuff. And the weird thing is, like, holding this in my hand, like when I pulled it out of the box, I held it in my hand. It was one of those moments where I realized that I had this record at some point. I was holding on to this record in a record store. I looked at the cover at some point and passed on it. But man, I've been looking for this record for forever, it seems. Here's one that's already been blaked, but Bob Dylan's Self-Portrait. Just a great album, double album from Bob. Some live stuff from the Isle of Wight on here. And for those of you that have been kind of, you know, you're not too sure, but I will tell you. So, as you can see, I am in fact married, and Sam is my wife. And this album holds a special place in my heart because there's a song on here called Wigwam, and that's actually what, when Sam and I got married, what she walked down the aisle to. So, kind of a non-traditional wedding, but really, would you expect anything else from us? But that one, that was one that I picked up. So the rest of these are all things that I've done. So another one that got the Blake treatment right away. The Checkmates Limited. This one is Love, All We Have to Give. This is produced by Phillips Spector. Just it's in stereo, but definitely has wall of sound qualities to it. It almost sounds like it's a mono. You know, Black Pearl was a huge hit for these guys, or I guess Sonny Charles for that matter. And then they do the Hair anthology, so they do a bunch of songs from Hair on side 2. Great album. And I really don't know. I don't know how many people in the vinyl community are familiar with this group, but the Low Fidelity All Stars, I was a big fan of them. You know, kind of late 90s, probably like 97, 98, something like that. Basically, when I was in high school, they were huge. It was a huge band. The song Battle Flag was just big, but the album How to Operate with a Blown Mind, it has a sample of the song I Keep Forgetting on here. And I was listening to the record. I had my headphones on, and Sam was in the other room, and I was like, "Oh my God!" You know, I heard the sample, and it was, you know, when you hear something where it actually came from first or second, I guess, and then you're just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that's where that sample was from," and it was just total surprise. You know, was not expecting it at all, but just amazing stuff. Here's another one. Got the Blake treatment already. John Phillips. This is John Phillips' self-titled album. It's kind of known as the Wolf King of L.A. is kind of what the nickname is for it, based on the little kind of liner notes that are on the outside here. This is on the Dunhill label. John Phillips, of course, was in, you know, the Mamas and the Papas. And it's totally awesome. I've been looking for this forever. I got Benny Doherty's solo album, you know, a few weeks ago. Now I got this. It's just fantastic stuff. You know, you always see Mama Cass's stuff, but you never see it from these guys. So, Crackerjack, session musicians, Hal Blaine, James Burton, you know, just great stuff. Love it. another one here. Now this is, of course, I had made the sort of my goal for 2012 was to get every record from the 4000 series. So here's another one, Steve Noonan. This is kind of light psych, singer-songwriter kind of stuff on the Elektra label, of course. It's Elektra 4017, so earlier one, closer to probably about 67 or so. Really, really cool stuff. It's a white label promo. I won't take it out of the plastic, but you can see that for yourself on the top there. This one I know Punk Texas showed a while ago. Kind of been on my radar ever since. Mirth, kind of like a Country Joe sort of vaudevillian kind of sound. Really cool stuff. This is on the RCA label, and it's the Dynagroove, the very, very thick RCA. Love Dynagroove, Dynawarp, Dynaflex. No, not so much, but you gotta take what you can get. Here's Pure Love and Pleasure, another group that's on the Dunhill label. It's produced by Steve Barry, kind of a Mamas and the Papas-esque kind of thing. Again, really cool stuff. I love psychedelic stuff, or light psych, or sunshine pop. It's, you know, I will buy these records every day of the week. Okay, we'll go with this one next. This is just a kind of it's from 1976, but kind of a double best of. Pretty Things, the Vintage Years. Really, really awesome stuff on here. You know, Roadrunner, Rosalind, Midnight to Six Man, Trippin'. Just great stuff from these guys, and it's sequenced really, really well. The cool thing is they're not like, with the remastered, they're not really rechanneled or anything like that, so you kind of get the mono and the stereo on the same thing, which can be a little jarring at points, but I think it kind of keeps with the original sound that the artist wants. So, big fan of the Pretty Things. You hardly ever see their albums, but it's kind of interesting. You know, LSD's on here, House in the Country, just really cool stuff, but really not too much from SF Sorrow, which is kind of interesting because you think about how that album at this point has sort of taken on kind of a cult status, but even in '76, which would have been you know, just about actually 9 years after it was released, it still kind of wasn't a focus, I guess. SF Sorrow is Born, you know, that's just a great track. Another one of their psychedelic numbers. What did I? Why am I going here? I don't know. It's eluding me now. Oh, Defecting Gray. Defecting Gray is not on here, which is, now that song is just huge. Like when people think about, you know, the Pretty Things, that's, you know, something that with their psychedelic era, you know, it goes without saying, but not on there. Kind of, you know, features most of the stuff from the earlier days. Billy Joe Beacoat. This is on Fantasy Records. Kind of a 12-string folk guitarist. Really cool stuff. This album was one that, you know, I put it down on the groove, and just about maybe 10 seconds in, I was like, I think I'm going to really enjoy this one, so I had to kind of pick this up. Really good stuff. Here's one you don't see too often, Life by Sly and the Family Stone. Kind of talking about samples. This one has Into My Own Thing, which is the beginning of it was sampled by Fatboy Slim with Weapon of Choice. You know, so I'm sure you've heard the Fatboy Slim. That was pretty much everywhere. This one is kind of a bit of a misstep on part of Sly and the Family Stone. I mean, it's not their strongest album by any means. Probably the one that I listen to the least, but I'm really excited just to see the original copy of that, because you really don't find this too often. Here is Sold American, Kinky Friedman. I know I quoted, Zeke caught it, quoted Kinky Friedman. Kinky Friedman has some really, his humor is kind of Zappa-esque, I guess would be a good way to say it. Kind of a country folk kind of singer. He palled around with Dylan in the mid-'70s, but I think this is his first, either it's his first or his second album. It's kind of 1973. It's on the Vanguard label, but just some great stuff. And last but not least, this one is Two Jews Blues by Barry Goldberg and ... Features just awesome session musicians on the Buddha label. How could you not pass that up? You know what I mean? But it has Charlie Musselwhite, Eddie Ho on drums, Harvey Mandel, Dwayne Allman's on it, and they also say great but for contractual reasons they didn't say who exactly it was, but it's actually Mike Bloomfield. You can tell by listening to this. Barry Goldberg used to kind of play in clubs with Mike Bloomfield, and I think that he might have been in. Actually, no, he played keyboards in Super Session. He's not really credited in the main. Mostly it's Al Cooper and Mike Bloomfield, but he is on that album as well. So just some awesome stuff. So there you have it. First new vinyl finds of the year. Thank you guys for watching. We got some great stuff ahead.
Hey, check out what I found in the basement.
Don't put that in the record!